Call to order, councillors. Welcome to the public forum on Monday, the 15th of September 2025. Public forum relates to representations from the public on agenda items before the ordinary meeting of council, which will commence tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. It is a requirement that I advise all present that the public forum is being live streamed, and I advise all present that your presence at this public forum is taken as consent, that your image and your voice may be recorded and broadcast to the public by our live stream. Recordings of this public forum's website for at least 12 months. In the chambers today, we have Councillor Ben Pakes, Councillor Adam Matchett, Councillor Dean Saul, Councillor Julie Coburn, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Noel Selby, Councillor Annette Lawrence, and attending by audiovisual link, we have Councillor Arthur Bain. Staff attending today are Mr. Andrew Medal, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Daniel Thorogood, Director Corporate and Commercial, Mr. Michael Jackson, Director Operations and Planning, Ms. Vicky Thomas, Group Manager Governance and Information Services, and Mrs. Talia Webster, Governance Advisor. We now move to apologies, and we have apologies. We have apologies from Councillor Alexandra Wyatt. We'll now move to the acknowledgement of country. Kempsey Shire Council acknowledges the land of the Dunghutti Nation. We pay respect to elders past and present. We acknowledge the role of emerging leaders to continue to guide us in the future. We acknowledge the stolen generations and the need to change practices to be inclusive. This land was and always will be Dunghutti land. I'd also like to acknowledge the sacrifices made by Australian servicemen and women and their families, in particular, those who gave their lives in defence of the freedom we enjoy today. I now call for any conflicts of interest relating to business on the agenda. And just reminding councillors, you need to declare both today and tomorrow. Councillor Lawrence.
I haven't got it right in front of me actually, but I will get it up. I do need to declare a conflict for, hang on, can I have a moment to?
You may.
Get that.
Councillor Bain, would you like to declare your conflict?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to declare a conflict of interest to the First Nations Advisory Group, as I'm the CEO of Dunghutti Local Aboriginal Land Council, and I have personal and of people on the people that are being proposed for that group. It's a non-significant, non-pecuniary, so I'm just declaring it as a matter of form.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. Just for clarity's sake, Councillor Bain has declared an interest in item 10.2 as he's the CEO of Dunghutti Land Council and has relationships with people on the group who've been nominated, and he has declared a non-pecuniary, non-significant interest and will remain in the room. Is that right, Councillor Bain? Yep. Right.
Yep, that is correct. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. Councillor Lawrence.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I would also like to declare a non-significant, non-pecuniary to item to the 10.2 as well, because I also have relationships with the people on the agenda for the members, and I would also like to declare for my notice of motion as well, given that I also work, so that's on
11.3.
11.3, thanks, Madam Mayor, that I also work for DCJ, and the strategy states there's points in there about the strategy, but obviously I don't work in that department. And I also want to declare for another point on the agenda, which is for Hector Thompson.
10.4?
10.4, yes, please, because they're So it's non-significant, non-pecuniary for that I have family relationships. Yeah, with that person. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Councillor Pakes.
I'll accept some guidance from the General Manager on this one. I'd declare an interest in 11.6. I had a plumbing and excavation business in the Valley, installing the things that you might have been discussing in your delegates report since 2008. I'd call it non-significant pecuniary at the guidance of the General Manager.
What was the item number?
11.6.
11.6.
If I might help the councillor, I don't think that's a conflict of interest, given that it's a delegates report on a conference. I'd be happy for you not to declare that, and quite happy for you to participate in whatever debate there is as a result of that item.
Thank you. Councillor Matchett.
I also have a non-pecuniary, non-significant conflict with 10.2. I have a working relationship with a number of the nominees, including one of them who uses the centre that I work at.
Thank you, Councillor Matchett. Are there any other conflicts? Right. Thank you, councillors. The General Manager will now outline the guidelines for the public forum.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to address the council. This time is to be strictly enforced by the chairperson. Speakers at public forums must not digress from the item on the agenda of the council meeting they have applied to address the council on. If a speaker digresses to irrelevant matters, the chairperson is to direct the speaker not to do so. If a speaker fails to observe a direction from the chairperson, the speaker will not be further heard. A councillor, including the chairperson, may, through the chairperson, ask questions of a speaker following their address at a public forum. Questions put to a speaker must be direct, succinct, and without argument. Speakers are under no obligation to answer a question put under clause 4.15. Answers by the speaker to each question are limited to 1 minute. Speakers at public forums cannot ask questions of the council, councillors, or council staff. When addressing the council, speakers at public forums must comply with this code and all other relevant council codes, policies, and procedures. Speakers must refrain from engaging in disorderly conduct, publicly alleging breaches of the council's code of conduct, or making other potentially defamatory statements. If the chairperson considers that a speaker at a public forum has engaged in inappropriate conduct, the chairperson may request the person to refrain from the inappropriate behaviour and to withdraw and unreservedly apologise for any inappropriate comments. Where the speaker fails to comply with the chairperson's request, the chairperson may immediately require the person to stop speaking. This does not limit the ability of the chairperson to deal with disorderly conduct by speakers at public forums in accordance with provisions of the code. Where a speaker engages in inappropriate conduct, the Chief Executive Officer or their delegate may refuse further applications from that person to speak at public forums for such period as the Chief Executive Officer or their delegate considers appropriate. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Medal. We have 2 items for today's public forum, both on item 10.3, Coastal Action Plan for Coastal Settlements. And first up, we have Ms. Gail Ryan on behalf of Crescent Head Ratepayers and Residents Association, who will be speaking against the item. Ms. Ryan, whenever you're ready.
Madam Mayor, councillors, we'd like to state that we fully support Councillor White's concerns and attempts to get some action from council in regards to illegal camping parking. We reject much of council's report, which appears to confuse and escalate the cost in attempting to do this. Running through Council's response, we would like to make the following comments. Phase 1 includes review of signage. Illegal parking is not a big issue anywhere but the point area, and the signage is already there. It's just that many do not adhere to it. So there's no need for the 130,000 that's been allocated for phase 1. Why allocate more funds for more signage when it's not going to be policed? It's also pointed out that car-related activities have always been a low priority versus dog attacks, etc. We have no issue with this statement, but can't believe that there are that many dog attacks or similar in the area that would preclude all ranger activity. We also believe ranger duties currently include managing the pound. Nothing in this report makes mention of this. Perhaps someone else could be employed to undertake these duties, again freeing up rangers for other duties. I'm sure the cost to employ someone for this task will be cheaper than the rangers' salaries. We are also aware that ranger fatigue would be a big issue, which is why we have always advocated outsourcing parking or employing casual part-time rangers during peak seasons such as Christmas long weekends and school holidays, especially if locals can be employed in this role. We have never advocated for full-time rangers. We also understand the difficulties in rangers finding illegal campers. But when it comes to illegal parking, we totally disagree with your statement that this punitive measure does not remedy the issue. Perhaps it will not mean much at the time, but once word gets out that fines are regularly occurring, the majority of people will start to obey the signs, and this will surely be a great step towards remedying the situation. It is possible that rangers could simply mark the tyres of cars in the car park, maybe. Being seen to do this alone would make people think twice about overstaying the time limit. We query your statement that the level of illegal car parking and camping out of season is believed to be low. Not so. Though obviously not the same level as peak holiday periods, any good surf day in Crescent Head will see car parking issues occurring. Illegal camping and car parking is now seen regularly all year round. Your statement admits the council has no knowledge of these figures, so we fail to see how you can come to these conclusions. It would be beneficial for council to at least undertake a review of the foreshore parking problems before making such statements. We have also tried to avoid the issue of paid parking, but if fines are not going to be issued, then this does raise the need for some kind of paid parking. This document does not seem to include enough figures to make an accurate, informed decision on this. It would be good if a cost guide could be given for paid parking option alone. It's difficult to understand the logic of your statement. Longer term, as illegal camping and parking decreases, it hasn't decreased in the past 4 or 5 years, and there's no information to suggest that it will do so. Lastly, we are absolutely shocked by Council's statement has been discounted because of the potential conflict between the helpful face of Council and the compliance face. We feel this tantamount to say police should not arrest a thief as it might make them look negative. Isn't there a helpful face of Council that be shown to residents and ratepayers and other visitors who use this area? It seems the helpful face of Council was quite prepared to find people in West Kempsey recently. We take offence that Council does not seem fit to present a helpful face to the very people who pay their wages, the ratepayers, but will to short-term visitors to the area who often contributes little or nothing economically. Finally, we would encourage Council to continue to look at alternative methods to alleviate this situation, but feel they need to fully understand and appreciate the concerns and issues that are constantly being encountered at the foreshore car parks by community and visitors alike. We are concerned especially by statements that imply it is a decreasing problem. It's only seasonal, and also feel that there must be some more cost-effective measures that can be introduced other than those mentioned in this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan, for making that representation on behalf of Crescent Head Ratepayers and Residents Association. Councillors, do we have any questions for Ms. Ryan? Councillor Selby.
Thanks, Carl. Very good. Paid parking, as you mentioned, any ideas on that?
Councillor Selby, I don't really think that I should answer that because I'm only a representative here today from...
Fair enough.
Yes, I do personally have lots and lots, but I don't think it's appropriate that I answer questions.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Pakes.
Thanks for your presentation. The suggestion of extra parking in Main Street. What's your experience of parking in holiday times in that area in the section of Main Street? Does it get well utilised in those times, or do you have any comment on that?
Once again, Councillor Pakes, I can't really answer it as a representative of the ratepayers. As a member of the ratepayers group, I can, if that's allowed.
Yep.
The area of Main Street very rarely gets used at all during holiday seasons because, in my opinion, people are too lazy to walk from Main Street right down to the foreshore car park. If and when, or hopefully if and when the new path goes down between the houses in Willow Street and the caravan park, maybe, in my opinion, that would work because people could walk straight down from Main Street through the holiday park onto the creek frontage more than anything.
Councillor Pakes.
And what do you think the community in that area, specific to that area, how do you think the community will react to that? Have you seen that in any parents previously? Because it is a bit of a change from what that area has been in the past.
My opinion only. I think that the community or the residents of that street would be up in arms, as would a lot of people in the whole of the township. I believe, or I've been told that this proposal came through 12 years ago, or approximately 12 years ago, and was, I'm not sure, was kind of kicked out.
Yeah. Thank you. Are there any other questions, councillors? I see none. Thank you for your presentation. We now have Mr. Ken Scotton speaking for item 10.3, Coastal Action Plan for Coastal Settlements. When you're ready, Mr. Scotton.
Thank you to the Mayor, councillors and staff for permitting me to speak in support of the recommended action plan package and item 10.3 with reservations. I spoke in support of the initial nom and it would be remiss of me not to support this action plan. The document has led me to some confusion in defining the potential outcome. However, investigating solutions to address the situation is progress rather than the alternative of doing nothing. I have concerns with the overall potential costing of $760,000 in operation costs. However, I'm sure a more detailed scope will be provided moving forward with a reduced spend. In my opinion, what should be considered when defining the service required in Crescent Head does not require constant 365-day 24/7 compliance management, as it would be too cost prohibitive. However, scheduling of compliance management may be better served to address weekend and public holiday parking and free camping in spring, summer and fringe autumn periods, with increased 7-day management during school holiday periods such as the October, Christmas and Easter holidays, when tourist and visitor vehicle traffic peaks and available parking is under constant demand. I realise it would be difficult to define and outsource a contract for this staggered time frame. However, this may prove a more cost-effective compliance regime at times of peak demand. Previous programs initiated by council to educate and warn visitors engaging in unlawful parking and free camping activities has proven ineffective, and has long been felt by many Crescent Head residents that a period of issuing infringement notices may prove more effective in providing a shock therapy effect to frequent offenders. Crescent Head requires more churn of existing parking spaces to satisfy demand, and that can be achieved by discouraging all-day parking via the infringement process. My involvement over many years in the design, construction and ongoing management of large commercial and retail developments and associated parking areas suggests that should infringement notices be issued during the periods previously mentioned, then word will quickly circulate via mouth and social media network to hopefully reduce the practice while delivering a positive outcome at minimal cost to council. It's my opinion that additional signage may not be cost effective, as current signage defining time parking and no camping zones already exist, but are largely ignored by many visitors to Crescent Head who seek to take advantage of the lack of current compliance management. As the October long weekend approaches, I would suggest those in council who are not familiar with the parking issues at Crescent Head take the time to visit the foreshore car park and surrounding areas on either day of the long weekend to see for themselves what an absolute debacle this area degenerates into. I also suggest the visit may provide significant insight into the challenges faced by our village, and this gained insight may be helpful in formulating a solution to this ongoing situation, which increases year on year. The option to introduce paid parking will meet with some level of community opposition and could be considered by many to be brutal in its approach. Plus, the current paid parking regimes in other coastal towns such as Nelson's Bay still require real-time compliance management, which would be largely out of current KSC Ranger Award working conditions. As a result, I believe paid parking isn't a viable option until all other avenues are explored and exhausted. I further note that no provision for ranger parking controls is mentioned in your following 10.6 item, as the draft policy response to parking fails to appear in the Schedule 1 compliance response matrix. So it could be assumed that parking compliance has either no weight or priority in the draft proposal, and this certainly won't help Crescent Head. The phase 2 option detailing an additional 80 plus parking spaces in Main Street, previously raised some 12 years back, will no doubt lead to heightened community opposition. And in my opinion, the day parking take up in this area will be minimal due to its remote location away from the foreshore. A few years back, council created a temporary overflow parking area adjacent to the sports fields over Christmas, which failed miserably due to its remote location, and I can envisage a large spend for little net result via this phase 2 option. Both council and Crescent Head may be better served by initiating a bipartisan group as part of the education section of the plan to investigate and discuss what may be achieved to alleviate the problem before any further expenses initiated. Local knowledge can be a powerful tool if used correctly. Well, I'm certain it will not be hard to gain community support should this option be explored by council. Thank you. Oh, pretty good.
Right
good
on
letter.
the buzzer, Mr. Scotton.
Right on.
Thank you for making your presentation to our public forum today. Councillors, do we have any questions for Mr. Scotton? Councillor Selby.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation, Ken. Do you have an immediate solution or alternate solution to the problems?
Mr. Scotton.
Well, there's a fairly drastic one. I think the time parking in the car parks is great for people who want to obey the rules. For the majority who don't want to obey, then that becomes an issue. The dead response is take all the signs away, remove all the time parking, remove all the no standing, and that'll then give Crescent Head residents somewhere to park their caravans and their trailers. And
thank you, Mr. Scotton. Councillor Bain.
No, I'm fine, thank you. My internet is very shaky, so I will leave it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pakes.
Thanks for coming along and providing support to that motion. Absolutely understand what you're saying. Specifically to other camping options in the area, do you think if those options were made available to people that they could drive 5 kilometres south, camp in a designated area, they might move if instructed? Is that information available, and do you think it'd be useful?
Microphone, Mr. Scotton, sorry.
I think the majority of those other parking areas or camping areas, the information's available out about them. There is one Yui camp down at near Racecourse Headland that is basically advertised over online, and that has very low patronage. They'll still park. They still park anywhere. They won't go down there and pay $15 a night to stay in a Yui camp, nor will they pay $15 a night to stay in the Wave campground at Delicate Nobby. And it is all sealed roads, as we've talked before. Sealed road access, no problems. They're not interested. They're interested in coming in and suiting themselves, not paying any money at all, and utilising all of the attractions of Crescent Head with no net gain to our economy.
Councillor Pakes.
And a supplementary from that, what do you estimate the number of camp areas down there? Like, there's a lot of sites there. I observed 2 campers in that site. How many sites do you think are available down there? And they're not that far
On the
on that back road down there,
Oh,
down to Plummeters.
national parks, I couldn't give you the figures on national parks. I mean, they're quite substantial. Yui Camp is a big area, and that's a free. That's not set out, so you could put a unlimited number in there. There are a few others. There's one at, I think it's called Back of the Moon down near Big Hill. That's a private one. I've no idea how many spots there. There's a lot of accommodation available should they choose to seek it out. But I don't think that's in their agenda.
Councillor Coburn.
Thank you, Mr. Scotton, for coming and presenting today. In your opinion, the overnight camping situation, are many of them rough sleepers, or are they mainly the surfing population?
No, it's the surfing population. They come to Crescent Head for the attraction. They're now well aware that there's no compliance management there. They know that they're not going to be interrupted. And I think, as we discussed in the other meeting, they don't bring an element of crime, but there's a certain element of intimidation in somebody sleeping outside of your house that you've got no understanding who they are. So you don't want to go out and confront them. And they basically stop wherever they like and do some pretty unseemly things. So, and I'm a surfer of 60 years. I don't understand their thought process. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Scotton. Are there any further questions, councillors? I don't see any further questions. Thank you for your presentation, Mr.
Thank you very
Scotton.
much.
Our public forum today. Thank you to our speakers once again, and for everyone for their input today. The public forum is now closed.